disgraced Dr. Nandipha Magudumana and 5 co-accused are going to be back in the Magistrate's Court in Bloemfontein. It's all to do with their bail applications. Today it's expected to get underway 9 o'clock this morning. Let's take you back once again to outside the courts. In fact, that's where you were earlier. Slee, you were outside the courts for us, but now we find you inside court, and I understand the doctor's still making her way to you. Slee, so if you are able to hear me, what is it looking like as far as security is concerned? And for viewers just joining us, what are we expecting today? It looks like Slee, we may have a connection issue to you. Just forgive me for those watching at home. I'm going to try one more time. Slee, if you are able to hear me, just give me a nod there and then just take us through expectation from 9 o'clock this morning, because you mentioned earlier heavy security presence outside and inside. It looks like you can hear me now. Viewers just tuning in, what you got for us?
Certainly so. We've got, of course, quite a large media contingent that is already making its way inside the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court to set up, and like you've said, quite a heavy security presence as well, inside as well as outside court. As the media, we have to have wristbands to identify ourselves, as well as those that will be attending these bail proceedings. And like you said, we do have Dr. Nandipha as well as another female co-accused that are being transported from Kroonstad, who will be making their way to a 2-hour trip for these bail proceedings, these bail application proceedings. And of course, we know that the NPA has since withdrawn or provisionally withdrawn the murder charge against the accused. And this is going to change the manner in which these legal proceedings are going to unfold. But to unpack this for us, we're joined by legal expert from the UJ Law Clinic, Mr. Alton Hart. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Let's maybe just explain for our viewers what it means for the NPA to drop this murder charge. When you look at things, do you think perhaps the NPA was too hasty in bringing this charge? And perhaps is there a possibility of the state reinstituting that murder charge against the accused?
Slee, it looks like Alton Hart might have a bit of an audio issue this morning as well, so we're going to work out those bugs in a second. We did see Alton, he is there as well for the moment. Just while we're waiting for Alton just to come in, you can give us an audio test from his side. Slee, the other big thing is going to be the dropping of this murder charge, as you say. You were hearing from another expert earlier this morning. It changes the schedule of the offence, obviously, and this could have implications, Slee, on how this bail application goes. You can also, of course, try with Alton Hart again. If not, then just take us forward on that.
Certainly so. We are expecting that with the murder charge being provisionally withdrawn, that means that the charges that the accused are facing are of a Schedule 1 offence, meaning now the onus is on the state to show the court why it is that the accused are, that they should be remanded in custody. And you would know that with Zolile Sekeleni, that is Dr. Nandipha's father, the murder charge was also withdrawn in his matter, which is why the state and his lawyer were able to come to an agreement in terms of bail conditions and a bail amount of around 10,000 rand. So it's going to be interesting to see whether the state in this particular matter with the rest of the co-accused, will they be opposing bail? Have they come to some kind of an agreement with the defense attorneys? In particular, I think what we are looking forward to is seeing the reasons why the accused wants to be released on bail. In particular, Dr. Nandipha, who we know, of course, had to be fetched, essentially, or arrested in Tanzania, outside of our borders, and brought back into the country in order to be able to face these charges. I'm going to try once more with legal expert Alton Hart. I hope you can hear me now. He's from the UJ Law Clinic. We're we're just unpacking the issues around the bail application and the murder charge that's been provisionally withdrawn by the state against the accused. Perhaps unpack for us what this means for the bail proceedings today, and perhaps was the state too hasty then in charging the accused with murder?
Bail application. Obviously, Dr. Magudumana, Nandipha, she faces a little bit more of a tougher bail application than the rest of her co-accused, because she already skipped the borders of the country without using legal ports of entry and exits to various countries. So the state will hammer on that she's a flight risk and she must be kept in custody. So her legal representative will have that mountain to climb to show to court why is she not a flight risk, why she will stand her trial. So she needs to satisfy the factors set out in section 60 subsection 4A to E, and come up with her reasoning as to why she should be afforded bail. The other accused, I think, they would most probably land up in Schedule 1 of the Criminal Procedure Act pertaining to offences, but if they have previous convictions, it might become Schedule 5 offences that they're standing on the formal bail application. Pertaining to the murder, from the get-go, that charge of murder against these people, I didn't think that the state has got a strong case. Yes, because on the evidence that's currently available, it only shows that Dr. Magudumana signed out bodies from the mortuary. So when she signed them out, they were already dead. So how would they prove that they actually murdered the people? So that murder charge was just to sort of make it intense, to say that this is why we are opposing the bail application and try and push it into a Schedule 6 bail offence. And I think that's what was the state's intention, to sort of give them time and buy them time to further investigate and get other accused people before court, because you need to also expedite bail proceedings, and I think that's why they put the murder charge on top of that, but it was a weak charge from the get-go.
Then let's talk about the accused. We have about 8 people who've been arrested, including Thabo Bester, most of them former G4S employees, as well as, of course, Dr. Nandipha and her father. Do you think there are issues around how this case is going to be perceived if we don't see perhaps more high-ranking officials also in the dock moving forward? We do know, of course, that more arrests have not been ruled out.
For me, obvious. You cannot say people that's working on gates in a prison has more authority than a person sitting in a control room, because that control room needs to know why a gate is opened at night. So for me, it's like you have like what one would call in ordinary layman's terms, you've got the foot soldiers that's currently being arrested. I still need to see the decision makers and those people sitting higher up, because you cannot open a prison at night without the warden of that prison being aware. And normally these things work like on a 2-factor opening system. People on site will have one side to open the prison, and then the warden or a higher ranking official that stays on the premises will have the other side to open these doors. You cannot tell me it's just people on, like, where non-decision making people, just like the normal workers in the prison, can be arrested for this. I need to see more people in that dock, because you at least, there must be 30 people for minimum for me in this case. And I see that this case will be prolonged and dragged, and we'll never know the truth until you see some high-ranking officials also being put in that dock to come and say, what did they do or not do on the night that Thabo Bester escaped, or not escaped, let's put it nice, walked out of that prison.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. That is legal expert from the UJ Law Clinic, Mr. Alton Hart. Our colleague Gareth Pule Letshwiti-Jones is outside of court. In fact, he's outside of the police station where we usually see the accused arriving ahead of the proceedings. Pule, what are you seeing out there?
Well, thank you very much, Selina. Very good morning. What we understand is that Dr. Nandipha and one of the accused, of course, will be making their way from the street where we're currently standing into that gate. And we're hearing sirens at this particular moment. We are probably just waiting to see if it's the police officials anticipating her arrival this morning through this back entrance at the police station. Yeah, we do see a couple of people in the van, but we cannot say that it is them. Probably just other accused who will be making their appearances in the Magistrate Court today. But of course, we're also expecting just a group of supporters from the Bloemfontein Celtic Tembiso branch, of course also known as the Siwelele Samasele. This is one branch where the late Katlego Bareng, who was laid to rest on Sunday, would participate in. He was an avid supporter of the club as well, but we're also expecting community members and the family members of the late Bareng, who of course have expressed disappointment in the charge of murder being dropped, by the way, and they have questioned the number of the inconsistencies in the story surrounding the death of one of their own family members. And of course they've been consistent with the statements that all they just want is answers at this particular moment. But of course we'll be waiting to see if they'll be making their way from this back entrance in a couple of moments. We've seen that they've been supporting they've been coming to the court appearances as they've been unfolding, and we'll be giving you updates from this entrance here, where we will be expecting Dr. Nandipha and other accused to be making way this morning. Back to you, Gareth.
Both to Pule Letshwiti-Jones and also Silindelo Masikane. One is our Pule outside the police station. Any moment now we're expecting, as he says, the accused to arrive. And then later, Sleater coming over to your location at the court itself. We'll come back to both of you again a little bit later, covering the story from every angle here on the South African Morning. As it happens, we'll bring it to you here on the South African Morning. A reminder, the court case, as Silindelo Masikane was saying, expected to get underway 9 o'clock. We'll be live once it begins. Might be a minute or two late at 9, live here on eNCA with Newslink. It's Tumelo Motatwane, also live streaming on eNCA.com.